Hi guys, and welcome back to another Premier League prediction video. Last time out I got no scores correct, the same as in the Championship, so I had a bad week, a week to forget, but we're back now after the international break and hopefully I can get some scores right. So let's see what I've predicted. And starting off with a game I'm looking forward to between Watford and Liverpool. This is the early Saturday kickoff, and the thing about the early Saturday kickoff is that Liverpool aren't very good in them. They've won 2 out of their last 6, so they do tend to struggle in this fixture and don't win normally. Watford, Xisco got sacked. I think it was a bit premature, a bit unfair on him, but it's Watford, so I can't say I'm surprised. Ranieri is now back in the Premier League, which is exciting to see, and I think there's going to be a bit of a new manager bounce, as there tends to be with clubs. So for this one, it's kind of difficult to call, but there's a few things. So for Liverpool, Alisson is missing because he's on international duty with Brazil, so that's a big miss for them. Watford, they've got a very fast attack, so I think that's going to be very important in this game, and Ismaila Sarr is probably going to do some damage to this Liverpool defence. And another thing I want to touch on is last time Watford played Liverpool in the Premier League was that 3-0 win to Watford that ended Liverpool's unbeaten run. So this is going to be a very interesting game, and it may come as a surprise, but I'm using my wild card already. I think with Ranieri and a new manager bounce and all the things I've mentioned, I think Watford are going to sneak a result here. I think they're going to sneak a win. I'm going Watford to win 2-1. Moving on to the second West Midlands derby of this weekend, it's Aston Villa versus Wolves. For this, Villa, they lost their last game 2-1 against Tottenham. Wolves, they've won their last 2 games, and what I think is going to be the decisive factor in this one is Hwang Hee-chan. He looks like a great player. He looks like he fits Wolves' system perfectly. They create a lot of opportunities, and he looks like the man who's going to take those opportunities. So for this, I'm backing the away side. I'm going for Wolves to win 2-1. On to Leicester versus Man United now, and Man U, they're missing Maguire and Varane, which their 2 main centre-backs being out isn't great for them. Bailly and Lindelof, luckily, they're good enough players to cut it at this level. However, when they do play together, they tend to struggle to pick up wins. Luckily for them, they're playing Leicester. And any other season, I'd have backed Leicester with Man U's main 2 centre-backs out. However, this season, they haven't won in 4 games, Leicester, and they haven't impressed me at all. They're really struggling. They need to get into the form they had the past few seasons that we're seeing them finish 5th, because if they carry on like this, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near European places. So for this one, I'm back in the away side again. Same scoreline. I'm going Man United to win 2-1. On to Man City versus Burnley next, and for this, to be honest, I could have put Man City to win by any number 2-0, because City love playing against Burnley and they always tend to score high. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'd be ridiculously surprised if Burnley came out with anything. Like, the chances are so slim. And I can see City scoring a few like they always do. So I'm going City to win 4-0. On to Norwich versus Brighton now. And Norwich, they don't look like they're going to win a game this season. They drew 0-0 with Burnley, which was their first point of the season. But if they want to stay in the division, they need to be winning a game like that against fellow strugglers Burnley. It ended 0-0. They couldn't even muster a goal, and they're looking very poor. So I can't see them getting anything in this one. And it's because they're playing a Brighton side who are unbeaten in 4. They've only lost 1 game so far this season. And their last game was a 0-0 draw against Arsenal, who are in very good form. And Brighton played them off the park. They were very unlucky not to win that game. And Arsenal were second best to everything, really. So Brighton, they're a very good team. Very well drilled by Graham Potter. And I can't see anything other than a Brighton win here. So I'm going Brighton to win 2-0. Southampton versus Leeds now. And Southampton, they're really struggling to score. There's a lot of draws. They've drawn a lot of games so far. And I think they probably go into games aiming to draw because they can't score. Obviously, everyone wants to win, but at the moment, they'll take the draws while they've got their goal-scoring issues. However, it's difficult to call this because I originally did go for a draw, but Leeds, although they're missing Rafinha and Bamford, I still think they've got enough to beat this Southampton side. Leeds haven't been great so far this season, but I think they're going to get over the line. Narrow margin, low scoring game, Leeds to win 1-0. This is probably the Premier League game that I'm looking forward to most this weekend. It's Brentford versus Chelsea. It's the late Saturday kickoff, and I'm really looking forward to another Brentford home game, as the last one was that brilliant 3-3 draw with Liverpool that was game of the season for me so far. With this, Brentford, they look like a very good team. They beat West Ham last time 2-1 and they played very well in that game. They've only lost 1 game still so far this season, and it was against Brighton in the last minute. So they are in very good form, and I can see them causing issues here against the Chelsea side, who have only lost 1 game as well this season, and that was against Man City. So it was a very big game against a tough opponent. Chelsea, they look so difficult to score past, but I think the way this Brentford side play, they won't have an issue scoring past them, but they might let in a few, which is why I've went for a high scoring draw 2-2. Moving on to Sunday's fixtures now, and starting with Everton versus West Ham. Now, as far as I'm aware, Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison will both miss this game, which is again a big blow for Everton. Andros Townsend's going to have to do it again, and there's a lot of pressure on him to score goals, but he has been, and he was a free transfer, so he's given them so much already, and he'll be hoping he can continue in the form he's in. West Ham, they lost 2-1 to Brentford. They've been good this season. They've been very attacking, very fun to watch. But with this, both teams like to play on the counter-attack. And I think it might be a bit of a slow starter until the first goal is scored. Now, I would back West Ham with Everton's injury issues. However, Rafa Benitez, he just finds a way. And that's why I've went for a 1-1 draw. Newcastle v Spurs next, and the big talking point obviously around Newcastle. They're now the richest club in the world. It's going to be crazy to see how far they can get in the next few seasons. I know a lot of people have been saying they're going to be getting into the Champions League by 2024, 2025 and challenging for the Premier League. It'll be good to see another club up there. I just hope that it doesn't go so well that it sort of turns into what it turned into when Man City were taking over, where it was just a monopoly basically and they just had it every season. But I don't think it will. It's competitive, it's the Premier League, so good luck to them. They obviously don't have that money installed into the squad yet, so focusing on today, Newcastle, they still haven't won a game so far this season, so they're struggling on that front. It's difficult to call because Spurs, they're also not in very good form. They did win their last game 2-1 against Villa, but there was an own goal involved and they're not playing great. Harry Kane is still yet to score in the league, which is a big concern for them. So I'm calling it even. I think there's going to be a big buzz around Newcastle, even though half the players that are going to be excited probably won't be there by the end of the season, maybe even January. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And the last game is Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Now Arsenal, they've been in good form. They won 3 on the bounce after struggling at the start of the season, including that 3-1 win over North London rivals Tottenham. So that was a great win for them. But the game after, they drew 0-0 with Brighton, and Brighton played them off the park. Arsenal were lucky to come away with a point, and I think they'll accept that because Brighton, they were full of energy and they played really well. But they'll be glad they got a point out of it, and they'll be hoping they can transfer that into more points here. Palace, they draw a lot of games. They've only won 1 so far this season, and I don't know, it's difficult to call again because Palace, on their day, they're a good team. They do make a few mistakes at the back and let in a few silly goals. They should have more wins than they already have because they have played well. For this one, I've sort of went both ways with it. I originally had Arsenal to win, then I had Palace to win. But I've went down the middle for another game because it's so difficult to call, and I think Vieira's homecoming is going to have a big impact on this game, but it's going to end in a draw for me. I've went high scoring, 2-2. And that's it. Those are my predictions for these Premier League fixtures. Quite interesting. I've actually got 3 draws on Sunday's games, so no wins on Sunday according to me. That's obviously not going to happen, but I guess you never know. It may happen. I don't see it happening. Please let me know in the comments what you agree with, what you disagree with. Put your predictions down in the comments. What game are you most looking forward to? Please like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more Premier League content.